Hey guys, here we are. So as you've seen, we've fitted the tyres from the last time. We've actually fitted a new LSD. We've fitted all new synchros to the transmission. We've done nothing else to the tune. We haven't lowered the boost again. We're just going to see how it goes with the LSD and see what effects that have. Last time we ran 128, a best of 128. If I saw a best of 135, I'd be happy. Anything over that, I'd be ecstatic. So let's get out to the staging lanes and let's see how we go. Alright guys, so as you saw, we were at the drag strip and the car was all over the place. It was to the point where I only did one run and I just called it quits. It was too dangerous. It pulled so violently left and right. So I tried going on and off the throttle. Every time I did that, it changed directions. I actually was really sort of upset with the car because we've put so much effort into it. So I gave the guys a call at JDM Yard for their advice on how we can correct it. So they said, bring the car down. So we've had the car down here for approximately a couple of days now, and they've gone through it and they said the wheel alignment was totally trash for drag racing purposes. When we first had the car done with the wheel alignment, it was done for street and possibly a bit of circuit. And so it was all out of whack. So they've changed the caster. I think they may have changed the camber as well a little bit more. And they've gone through they've changed the angle or the rake of the suspension. So they've actually raised the back of the car and they've gone over it multiple times with the wheel alignment place to dial into their specifications. So they want me to do a couple more passes to see how the car's feeling in terms of what sort of improvements we hopefully going to get with the stability and safety of the car. You will see from the images the car is higher now at the back, and that's something where they would like to run a stiffer spring. So we will be doing some further changes after the next drag day. So no other changes from the last time other than suspension geometry and alignment. So fingers crossed we can do some clean passes. But a massive thanks to the guys here at JDM Yard in Sydney, Australia. They've done a phenomenal job with their experience and knowledge with front wheel drive drag racing. I think they hold the record for naturally aspirated. I think they're in the 9s with their front wheel drives. Plus they've got all their experience with turbocharged versions as well. So thanks very much to JDM Yard for that. All right, so yeah, have a look. As you can see, we've got the raised rear suspension. They've actually pushed the front wheels forward and loaded up with more caster. So that's as far as they can go with the factory style suspension components. We'll try and get back out next week at Sydney International Dragway and see if we can hopefully break into the 12s with what is probably the world's most expensive 13-second Honda. Alright guys, we're back here at Sydney International Dragway. We've done some little modifications to get some cold air ramming into the front of the inlet pre-turbo. We are measuring the pre-turbo air temperature, so this is going to be very interesting. The temperatures tonight in Sydney are amazing. I think it's meant to be about 12 degrees right now, which is great. That's 12 degrees C for you Americans. So we've got this big bell mouth, which is going to be pushing that air pressure into the turbo, which could increase the boost levels, you know, because we haven't changed any settings to accommodate for that. So we might see an overspike condition occur tonight. Alex from Birrong Automotive is out here with a almost twin of this car. We will get some of that on a camera later on, but for now we've iced up the car. We've packed as much ice as we can into the tank, and so now it's time to go get scrutineered, and then we might just do a quick little recap of where we're at the moment, and then we'll head out and do some passes. All right guys, let's get it on.
He had the craziest look in his eyes, and at one point he said, "Let's get it on."
I'm your twin brother.
The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking into a mirror.
All right guys, as you've just seen, Alex has been back on the laptop. We did hit an overboost condition with the funnel, feeding cold air into the turbo. It is a very cold night tonight, so the air density is high, and with the current settings, it did overboost. Remember, if you looked at last time, we knocked out, I think, 5 or 10% boost. And so what we've done now is we've knocked another 10% across the board, as well as raised the safety cut. So it was at about 30 PSI, so it's probably at around 32, 33 PSI now, the safety cut. But again, Alex would have to look it on the dyno to see where it's at. We'll see if we can get a smooth run, and we are trying to get the logging activated so we can try and log it all and see what we actually hit. All right guys, second pass, let's see how we go. right guys, that's a wrap for tonight. So we end up getting 3 decent passes in. 2 out of the 3 we were hitting a limiter. We weren't sure what the limiter was. We dropped the boost, we still hit the limiter. And then Alex from Birrong, for some reason the settings weren't correct for logging on the ECU. So he slapped his laptop in for logging on the last run. On the second last run, he noticed that it triggered a injector fault, or not, like an error, and that was showing that we were hitting the maximum injector flow. So what we did is we pulled the boost a further 10% down for the 3rd and final run. So he had the laptop sitting in the passenger seat. I activated the recording before the burnout, did the pass, all went really well, and we got some great data. So the first pass with some cuts going on, I actually did quite a good pass. I went a 2.25 60 footer, quarter at the 8th, I went 8.5 at, unfortunately this was in kilometers an hour because of some timing stuff, so I was at 155 kilometers an hour. Then I ended up with a 12.52 at 198.2 kilometers per hour. Okay, after that, on the 2nd and 3rd run, they had already corrected the times back to mile an hour. So we went a 2.5 60 footer, we went an 8.94 at 95.6 mile an hour, and a 12.8 at 130 for the quarter mile. The last run, we found once we had dropped that boost, this did make a bump in boost. That's why we had to keep bringing it down. And so we managed a 12.9 at 128, but we did it on only 25 PSI of boost. And we did notice, even still, our intake temps were getting a little bit hotter than we'd like. It's very safe and normal, but the temps that we're aiming for was still considered high. No, we won't go into those details. So on that last run, we did a 2.4 60 footer, 8.9, as I said, 93.39 at the 8th, and then we did that 12.9 at 128.53. So absolutely wrapped. I think we'll have enough footage somewhere in this video to show how hard the car is pulling left and right down the strip. It's actually quite daunting, and we actually came out here prior to having JDM yard. It was so, we'll say, treacherous that we only did 1 run and we bailed that night, and that's when we got JDM yard to go over it and use their front wheel drive drag racing knowledge to implement those changes to the car, which did make the car more stable, yet the car is still very unstable when driving. That's probably just due to the fact we've got a lot of power. I think the car can still probably go a 135 mile an hour with this current power setting, if I can just do more and more passes and get used to the power and focus on doing a nice clean 60 foot, a quick shift into 2nd and a quick shift into 3rd, and trying to manage that torque steering that is occurring. So where from here? So we did max out our injectors. We are currently running Bosch 1650cc injectors. We will look at converting to an 8 injector setup. The guys at Link ECU are going to try and assist us with modifications of this board. This is a plug and play ECU. It's not designed to go as far as we have, but they will try and make some sort of a addition to the board so we can try and run 8 injectors directly off the ECU. A couple of things that we need to look at: our intake manifolds, 8 injectors or a bigger set of 4 injectors, and a new intercooler setup. So what we're probably going to do is probably make all those changes before we come back out again, but before then we'll get it back on the dyno and see what those changes have like for like on the dyno. All right guys, thanks very much. We were really looking forward to this thing. We were hoping to go some faster mile an hour, but the car still has traction issues, and it is quite heavy, as you've seen. The car weighing 1,140 kilograms with everything in it, plus myself, 120 kilos on top of that. So 1,260 kilos. So it's not a light front wheel drive setup. So guys, thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
But wait, there's more.
We've just done the drag racing with the car. I was pretty happy with it. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments saying it should be a lot faster, but they're not the ones driving this car. Again, I will recap, this is a development car for product development and analysing and understanding cause and effect with different products and prototypes and theories that we have. We have hit a bit of a crossroads with the car itself. There are multiple things that need to change. If you guys had noticed through the series with this water-to-air intercooler, basically at the beginning of the run, the temperature would rise throughout the run, basically showing that the intercooler was outside its capabilities. So it wasn't able to actually control the air temperature. It would just start at a certain temp and end at a higher rate, at a higher temperature. So we wanted to get that locked in on the drag strip under as much load as possible for as long as possible with the duration of it. So under ideal, non sort of street conditions, we were able to feed the turbo with its the ambient 10-degree intake temps with that big snorkel or big bell mouth. That fed the turbo that 10 degrees. The ice water was pumping through, as you've seen, with the big water pump. So we were hitting the intercooler with the optimal sort of saturation of water, if you will, but we were still seeing a 40 degrees C intake temp, which in my opinion is not great. Everyone else would probably say that's fine and that's all good, but for us, we want to analyze how we can optimize that intercooler system. So that's something we are going to look at now. As you also saw, we ran out of fuel injector, even with the Bosch 1650cc injectors and the Walbro 525 pump on the Radium hanger. Again, thanks very much for Radium making that product. It's a great solve for people wanting to upgrade their fuel system on the CRX or Del Sol. Another thing that we have with the car is the car runs a 74mm Bosch throttle body, and the ability to have a flawless idle is very hard because of the amount of airflow with the turbocharger and the amount of adjustment in the, we'll say 1% increments of the throttle blade opening. We are going to look at running a smaller throttle body. You've got the Bosch 74, which it has. You can go up to the 82, or you can go down to a 68, and then the one below the 68 is a 60. And that is something that we're actually looking at switching to see what the effect is. I believe it will be fine. It won't cause any power issues because I think the pressure inside the manifold will still be the target pressure. Okay, regarding the inlet manifold, that's another issue that we've got now. This is the Skunk 2 Street. We feel that the plenum volume size and the runner shape is not optimized for our situation now, where we're really looking at power over 7,500, 8,000 RPM. So Plasma Man do already have a B-series intake manifold they have released, but they haven't got one for this head. This head is a B18 C2 head, which they will be making a revision for us hopefully soon. They will have a 4 and 8 injector option available, and we are looking at switching to an 8 injector setup. We've spoken to the guys at Link ECU. I mentioned it, I think, in the last video or the footage before this. This is a plug-and-play ECU, which was never designed to go to the extremes that we have with the car. So they are going to try and add 4 extra injector drivers to this ECU, which is very great of them, because that's the main thing that's holding us back from keeping a car very streetable, as well as allowing us to have more fuel supply up top. So we've got the 1650s now. There is an option that we could go to some of the aftermarket 2500cc injectors, but in my opinion, I'd like to have 1000cc injectors, as the car did drive nicer when it had the 1000cc injectors in this car. And then you have the secondaries as the 1650s. So we're looking at upgrading all of that sort of simultaneously. And we are also going to be working on a larger exhaust manifold for the over 1000 horsepower guys. So we might be doing that at the same time as all this work. So it could be a bit of time between drinks slash videos with this car. We really appreciate you following us along this journey so far. We are not stopping. We will be going further. We will be trying to sort out some of the torque steering that is occurring with some more suspension mods. With a big thanks to the guys at JDM Yard. Those guys have been a great help with part selection regarding the suspension as well. We're probably at the limit also with the stock sleeves. Most people wouldn't take their car this far with stock sleeves. We're probably going to go a bit further, not too much further, but we would like to optimize those things We'll probably stay on the 25 PSI that the car's currently set at, and we will see what is achievable if we can go a bit further. We will try and keep the torque out of it, which shouldn't be too hard. This turbocharger combination, this is our G40 900 compact, so it runs our 0.8 rear housing in that G35 footprint. And it is a great car to drive on the street. It feels very responsive for the size of the turbocharger. In the current conditions in Sydney with the cold air, it feels very lively, starting to pull at like low threes on the motorway, like in fifth gear. So it felt really good to drive. So in terms of building a stronger motor, that's definitely something that we're looking at doing. We're also looking at upgrading the drive shafts. Also possibly going to slicks as well. Thanks very much for all your comments regarding traction. Yes, R888Rs are not a drag tyre, but as we've shown you, we have picked up 12 mile an hour by switching to those tyres. All right, so I want to touch on regarding power and mile an hour. A lot of people say that the mile an hour always shows you the horsepower of the car. And I wanted to sort of go into a bit of, well, that's not always the facts. Like it might be with an automatic all-wheel drive car that's very consistent, but once you've got a rear-wheel drive car, even auto, it's different because it depends how you launch. That also affects your end mile an hour. Manual, that makes it harder as well to be consistent to show that mile an hour. And then when you go to the worst case, you've got a front-wheel drive car, manual transmission with an incredible amount of power. So if you look at the videos, with the same power, actually we reduced the power. We went from 104 mile an hour to 130 mile an hour with the same, we'll say, horsepower settings. I believe if we had a consistent 60 foot, probably in around the 19s or 20s, and I actually focused on quick gear shifting and focusing on an ET, I think our mile an hour with our current power would be around 135 with a great pass. The rules are at our Sydney International Dragway is 140 mile an hour in the quarter mile is the limit before you need to put I think it's a roll cage and a parachute on the car. That's something we don't want to do, but we intend to go right to the limit of 140 mile an hour with this car in a front wheel drive setup. So guys, I want to let you know we do have more episodes coming out with different cars that we develop on and have been developing on. We will also have an episode coming out next week with our Evo Wagon again. So we'll go back to the Evo Wagon development, which will be good. And we do actually have some other cars that we will be launching the build series on shortly as well. If you guys can subscribe to our channel and possibly mention us or share us around some of your groups, that'd be much appreciated. And it gives us a bit of momentum and enthusiasm to build and keep going with these developments, and also to share them, because we do development and back-to-back testing no matter what, but obviously recording them and documenting them, editing them, and basically capturing it all so the public can see it. There is a lot of expense and time involved with that. So guys, thanks very much, and I look forward to wherever this little B18 goes.